Welcome back everyone. Today I have a pretty cool dot to show you, which is this one here. And this is the smallest 0.9 seconds 5x5 at just 858 blocks, so the same volume as the smallest 1.05. Let me just show you how it looks. This is how it closes, so relatively fast as well. And this is how it opens, so really cool animation, I think, very synchronized. So yeah, this door is also fully reliable, so non-directional, non-locational, or anything like this. And yeah, I made it together with G4me4u and SoulBanished. I will link them in the description. But anyways, let's show you how to make this. Alright, so this is what you will need here. And now your building area will be 13 by 6 blocks, 11 blocks tall. And the door frame will be on this fourth block from the front here, with 2 block gap below, and then just the normal 5x5 frame here in the center, like so. Alright, now for the layout, the top and bottom here was made by SoulBanished. It's a really cool layout. So we have a double here, and then we have this fold. Now this left side we have a normal piston with a sticky piston. Right side we have a normal piston with a gap, and then when you bump one normal piston right here, that's the bottom done. Now on the top we have 4 singles as always, like so. And in the middle we have our triple, so 2 pistons like this, one like this, and then one pointing inwards like so. Now the right side of the top will have a double here and the normal, single, and then the normal will actually go on this left side here with the gap in front. We need one more thing for these, for the top here, which is this block here, just a removable block. Alright, let me just show you how this works because it's actually really cool. So the closing we do this and this and this. And we will also just power these singles. Next time we extend this piston and push this in. And then finally we push in this block and power this. And now the top will grab this piston to the side, insert this and power it. Alright, and while this is happening, the sides will push in their blocks as well. And we will actually use these 4 blocks here for the top and bottom opening. Alright, so what we're going to do is we retract this instantly, zero check these 2 instantly as well as this. And then this will start to extend instantly as well. So next step at 3 game ticks, this retracts. We push this back up and we grab these 2 blocks. And we will also grab this back up shortly after and yeah, pull it back. And now we just push this over, retract this, and then we grab these blocks. And the sides will also grab these blocks here. And then we have our fold here. And while that's happening, we push this over. And now we can finally just grab all the blocks here in the final retraction, like so. And this is how it works. Now for the sides, it's the same layout as always, just faster timings basically. So 4 doubles on each side, like so. And then we also have 4 normal pistons here, which will just push in our storage blocks, so 4 blocks on each side. And now we need these 2 blocks to be solid, and these 2 can be anything. On this left side here, this needs to be a hay bale, and then the rest is the same as on this side here. Alright, now on the back, we have our 4 stickies as always, like so. And like so. Alright, now we still need to power these pistons here. And we need 2 sliders for this because we can't have dust on top. So we will end up powering this block and this block, so we can just power all of the pistons. Alright, so we will do this with sliders. So first piston here with 2 observers like this and like this. Block here, and then your wall blocks, 1 more block, and then return piston like so. And on this left side here, just a normal piston with a node block, observer, solar block, 4 more blocks, and then the return piston is right here. Alright, now on top we will push down this observer and the block. Fill this in and have the return piston right here. And then this is almost the same, just we have this 1 block higher because we also have this observer here, which we use in the top. And then the rest is exactly the same, just like so. Alright, so that's the layout, and now we can start wiring it. By the way, I'm going pretty fast because this door is really dense and there's a lot of stuff to place and explain. So yeah, if you have trouble following along, just pause the video or something, because I don't want this video to be too long. But yeah. Alright, so this is your input block here. And from this we have sticky pistons with rests and blocks attached. Now on this right side here, we have a zigzag pattern like so. And now we need some slabs and we start a slab staircase to get the signal up and also to power these pistons here. Whoops, like so. And now we can just place some dust on top, everything like so. Alright, now on the left side we have 3 blocks in a line. Go up 1 block. We have 1 more slab and then 1 block as well. Then we have 3 more slabs, and now we need 3 observers which we place like this, and like this. Alright. Now this powers these pistons here. And let's get to the sides then. So first up, the setup. We have the same slider as in the 1.05. So like this. So 3 blocks here, slabs here, and then a slider. And then we have a piston facing down. And we have our return piston right here. And now for the updater, it will actually be right here with a no block on top, and then we also need target block on top. So the target block will just make this get powered constantly in the closing, so that this stays down when you push it down at the closing. And then yeah, this will just update it. Alright, on this left side here, it's almost the same with one small difference, and that is that we have a piston facing down right here instead of a slab. And this is already our updater piston. So it will just work like that. Like so. Alright. Now to actually power this, we will use this observer here, a piston, another observer into a block, a no block next to it, and then a piston right here. Alright, so we get away with 1 updater piston right here. Usually people use 2, but we can get away with 1 because we use this piston here, which makes this observer be updated from a piston, obviously, to turn on. And meanwhile, these pistons here will be updated by, will be turned off by the observer. And the observer turning off will be by updating itself. And this basically makes the update order correct, so it will always work. So yeah, just as a side note. Alright, now on this side here, we have a hopper into an observer into a block, piston facing down, observer here into another block. And then we need our no block, which we have here. And this time the piston faces outwards, like so. Alright. So right now this actually can't push down because this gets powered by the dust. So all we need to do is redirect it, and that's really easy. Just a block and a tripwire over like so. Alright, so that's the first closing pulse done. So this will push over and these will spit out the blocks. And next time we need to power these pistons, which will be done by the slider and some observers. So first we will place these 2 pistons. The bottom one has a redstone block and the top one has a log. So it goes to another sticky piston with another log. And then we have the actual bottom slider, which will start with a piston, 1 more log, and then a redstone block, 2 blocks, redstone block, and 1 more block. And our return piston here. And to power this, we just have a no block here, an observer, and a block. So the redstone block here will just power this, so it will just go up and down like so. Alright, now to power these, we just have observers like so, and an updater piston right here. Alright, so that should be this side, I think, for the closing. And now on this side here, it's a little bit more complicated because this side also ties in heavily with the top. So we'll start with a target block here, then a piston with a redstone block. So right now this is bud powered from this, so we need an updater. What we are going to do is replace these 2 blocks, dust here, a sticky piston pointing inwards, and this will push away this piston here, which is also the toggle for the slider, and will also update this piston, and this piston updates this one. Alright, next up we have a normal piston here, and now for the actual slider we have a sticky piston with an observer, redstone block, 2 blocks, redstone block, 1 more block, and then a final redstone block. Our return piston at the top here. And now to push this down, we will do the same thing as we did on the other side, like so. Dust on top. And we also need to redirect this dust here, so that this here can actually get updated with this. Alright. Now we need our observers like so, and the updater piston. Alright, so that should be the closing. But for the opening, we need 1 more thing. And that is something to update this piston, because this dust here is out of range, and this also won't get updated because it's hard powered by this. And what we'll do is we will use this resting block here and then this piston to update this, as well as this knob. Alright, so this means that this here gets updated from this, and this is important because we will later use this resting block here to power this piston when it zero ticks this. But it will only get updated to turn on, right? And we still need something to update to turn off. And that is what we use the sides for, because they will just retract the blocks directly below. And this is why we have this update chain, basically. Alright, so that's this side done. And we need one more thing to make the left side work, actually. And that is we need this sticky piston, one observer, and this target block. So this will just push up and prevent this piston here from updating this one, so that the slider stays down. Alright, let's test this. I hope we didn't forget anything. Yeah, looks good. Alright, so this also does a lot of the opening, but right now it's pretty slow. But we will speed it up soon. Alright, so what's happening right now is that these back pistons just extend normally, so we lose 3 game ticks basically. And instead we will make them zero tick, these pistons. And for that we'll be using some sliders. So on this side here, we have a piston facing down next to this observer here. And we have a block, observer pointing into that block, observer pointing into side pistons, and observer pointing down. Then we have a block here, one more observer which points inwards, and then finally we have our return piston at the very bottom. So what's going to happen is this pushes down. Then this block here powers these 2 pistons, and this observer powers these 2. And now to upload this piston to return this, we just place a piston here and a piston right here. So pointing down in between these 2 observers. Now let me just manually power this up. So now if I power this, you can see we have 0 tick slider. Alright, and the way this will be getting powered is by this block here. And then this piston actually just updates it. Alright, now on this left side here, we'll have our piston right here. Then a glass block here, observer pointing inwards. Then another glass block, another observer. Then observer pointing down, whoops, pointing down like so, with a block on top. Now, it's a bit crowded in here, but let's try to get this. Now we need a cauldron and some water, which you place right here. And make sure you fill the cauldron fully. And now at the bottom here we have a return piston, which is a sticky piston. Alright. Now this just gets powered by this here. And as you can see, we still need to update us, so we just have a node block here. And the node block will finally update this piston here, which updates this at the bottom, so it just switches it back up. So now we have our slider. Alright. So that is that. Let's see what happens. Closes. And it does this now. And now we grab the middle blocks with a 1 game tick pulse. And then finally we just need to power these sliders here one more time. But let's first get to these side sliders here. So this one is really easy to power. We just have this observer and this one, and that's it. Now to push it back down, we need a little bit of the top wiring. So block right here with dust. Then a hopper pointing to the right. And we need a target block right here. A block right here with a repeater and 1 tick. And then we have a sticky piston here with a log, which you place right here. And now we need a leaf, which you place here. And this will go into this observer, into this piston, another observer, and then one observer pointing to the back here. Dust on top, and this dust will, by the way, power this piston here, so that's also taken care of already. And now this dust will finally power this block, which powers this back down. Alright, so that's the first slider done. Now for this left slider here, to power it up, all we need to do is place this block. So when this goes back down, we'll power the block, and the block updates this and it will just go up. And then now on the top here, this is where we will need the campfire, which you place right here. Use the shovel on it so we don't get the smoke. Observer and a block. Alright, so this will push back over at 7 game ticks, which means this powers at 9, which is the perfect timing. Because the campfire will actually detect and change block state if this here underneath is moved. the hay bale, and the observer can detect that. And the reason we don't just use a node block for it is because these blocks are also getting powered from the dust here, and that would mess it up. Alright, so that's the front test done. Now for the back, let's start with this one here. Slab here with dust, then a node block here also with dust, and just any block. We have a comparator on top with an observer, and then we have our slab here. Where is it? Right here. Dust on top. By the way, this also processes the correct timing, but yeah, doesn't really matter. And then we also have this sticky piston here, and this toggle block, which is our toggle. So we'll just push in the block, power it, well, it makes it able to be powered, and then just put it back. Alright, now this one here, we will actually just always power with this block. And what we'll do is we just extend this here in the closing so that it just can't power. And the way we do this is by placing a block here with a comparator on top, and that will just read the contents of the quadrant, and this is how we do it. Alright, now to push these back up on this right side here, all we need to do is we place a log here, a leaf right here, which will make this observer power at 3 game ticks. And now we just place a block right here with a repeater on 3 ticks, and that will push it back up at the correct timing at 9 game ticks. And now on this side here, we will actually use a little bit of the bottom wiring, so we can't test that right now, but what we can do is we can place this piston right here next to the block, and then 3 observers around the corner, and then we just place some dust here to process manually, and we will soon just connect it to the actual wiring. So this is just for testing purposes, like so. And now we just need to power these at 12 game ticks, and that's all. Alright, so on this side we will have observer pointing down, repeater on 2 ticks, and then a hopper, and then 2 observers going up, and then a piston here. So we get 6 redstone ticks or 12 game ticks in total here. And on this side we will actually use this block here being powered, which will in turn power this repeater here, which should go up into this observer, dust on top, and now we just place a tile block right here. And by the way, this will also be the correct timing to power this piston down here, which will push over the top blocks here. So that's also taken care of already. So let's now test the sides, just like this. Alright, now let's move on to the bottom. So first up we need to power this piston down here, and to do this we just place a hopper here, a piston, and then 2 observers like so, sticky piston and that block. This will just 0 tick this up at 2 game ticks. Next up we want to power this normal piston back here to push this over here. And this is also quite easy, just an observer pointing up with dust, and then a target block here. Alright, so it will be like this basically. So next time we want to power this piston so that this ends up here. So the way we achieve this is by just placing a lamp back here and an observer, and then replacing the piston. And this will also be the correct timing for both the closing and opening, so this piston is already dealt with. Alright. So next up we want to actually power this piston here so that it can push up the blocks like so. And the way we do this is by pushing in this observer here from here to here. We'll enter up here and power the floor block here, which but powers this, so all we need to do is just up it at the correct timings. But let's first power this here, which will be done with this observer, and then we will also have this sticky piston here to push this away earlier, so the observer ends up here a little bit earlier. Alright, now to actually update this, what we will do is we have this sticky piston here, and then this normal piston, and we will just power this, and this updates this. Alright, so the first pulse will come from this observer, so let's see what this does. Oh, I forgot the floor block, let's try it again. Alright, and place this back like this. And as you can see, this also pulls another time, and all we need to do is pull this back because this right now is a 3 game tick pulse, but yeah, that won't be a problem later. Alright, but first let's get the pulse to this piston so it can insert this block at the correct timing. So let me reset everything here, like so. Alright, so all we need to do is place a lamp right here, and then 2 observers like so, into a hopper, 1 more observer going up into a flow block, and that's it. Alright, now we need 1 more pulse for this piston, and this will come from this observer here. So to power this observer in the first place, we come down here, and let's just remove this dust for now. Place a sticky piston right here, with a log attached to it, like so. So when it moves, it will just update the observer, and then it powers this, and this repeater here. Alright, so that actually should be the whole closing. Oh, I forgot to reset this. Let's see. Alright, let me just fix this really quick, and try again. Like so. Alright, let's try again. That's the closing done. Let's remove these blocks. Alright. So let's get to the opening. And the first thing we will do is get the 0-tick chain in the back here, which we can then connect to this, so we don't need this annoying extra thing here anymore. So yeah, what we will do is we have some leaves here, well actually only one, right here. And this will power or activate this observer here, which is just going to the 0-tick generator like so. And this pulse will just power this block, so we can power this piston later. And this will go into a sticky piston with a redstone block, which will then be sped here. And then this piston here, which is currently being powered like so, will just retract because we also upgrade this below like so. And later on we can just pull it back like this. Basically just like I did in the 1.05, just different timings. Alright, now to power this we have this here, and then that's the updater for this piston, which just has a not block. Alright, now this will just go into a block with a 3-tick repeater, and that is what powers this here. And this block here will also power this normal piston here to push up this column again. Alright, but we also need to get down this observer somehow. And what we'll do is we'll just pull it down while it's being active when it gets updated by this piston here. And the way we do this is by powering this lock here. And the nice thing is the lock will only be here in the closing because it just retracts in the opening. So that is actually already a toggle. So all we need to do is do this basically, and that's it. Alright. So let's see what this does. So as you can see, this is down right now. And now we can already test this a little bit. So we should see 3 game things, this block gets pulled and this as well. And the rest will mess up, but that doesn't matter. Yeah, just like so. Alright, so let me fix this. Like so. And repair all of this here. Like this. Alright. So let me also reset this here. And we should be good to go. So let's next get the pulse for this piston in, which is just a repeater on 2 ticks. And then we have an observer pointing into this repeater, and the observer getting powered by this piston. Alright, and we actually already have the pulse for this piston, because when this here retracts, it will power this at 4 game ticks, which means this will be here at 6 and turn on at 8. 9 game ticks, this piston will 0-tick again from the slider here, because some observer powers it, and that way we get the 0-tick in the wall level here. Alright, so let's see what's going on. Closing. Reset this and do the opening, like so. So all we need now is 1 more pulse here, and the last retraction will just be this here. And we also have this problem to deal with, but that's not a big issue. Alright, so for the pulse for this bottom piston here, all we need is just this observer, and that's it. Now, to power this again, we have a no block here, and then, whoops, 2 observers like so. And now to power this again here, we will just push in an observer from below, from here to here, so it powers this and retracts. And the way we power this piston is just by staying more observers, so 1 here and 1 here. Alright, and we need one more thing here in this bottom, which is an obsidian, which we place right here, so that this piston doesn't push out the observer and mess up everything. Okay, so we are almost done with this. We just need a few more things, but let's just first see what happens. So the double should already work. Like so. But as you can see, this pushes up, which we don't want of course, and also this resting block needs to be here again. So for the resting block, all we need to do is place a glass block here, and this will just push it back over in the closing. And then for this here, what we need to do is we come in here, and now where these 2 piston heads are, or pistons basically, it's not the piston heads, it's the pistons, we place this observer here, and then a sticky piston right here, and then we just power it so it pulls like this. Alright, so this will make it basically dodge the second pulse here and make it work. Alright, so that should actually be the entire bottom. Let's see. Yeah, just like this. Alright, now I can move on to the top. And the top is where it also gets pretty interesting, especially in this corner here. Alright, so let's first start by powering these singles here for the closing. So these right ones here, we simply have an observer like this, dust here. Then we go up a block into this block here, and then a rail to up with this piston. Now on this side here, we will have 3 rails like so, which gets powered by the block. And then there's just 2 observers. So this will also power in the opening really early. So on this side, it will just grab up this piston again. And then this one powers but does nothing because there's no block. But these 2 on the left side here, they can't power this early. We need them actually to wait until the final retraction. So we just extend the time that these rails here are powered. So let's do this. So target block here, then a slab with a rail. This is just to update this piston here, which points up with a block. And with some scaffolding, which fits in this block right so, and right here. And now let's just disable this quickly so we can place this dust. And we also need to replace these 2 blocks. Place a block above the hay bale. And now all we need is a repeater on 1 tick and a repeater on 4 ticks. And we need to extend this for 1 game tick longer. And for this we just place an observer like so. Alright, so next up we want to power this piston right here, and only this piston, when these blocks here have been placed like so. And so let's just go in here and place a block with dust, and that should be it. Because at 2 game ticks from this dust turns on, this piston will extend and uncut the line, so this can power. And because we have the piston in between, it's reliable, and these will always power before. So this will be powered, but can't extend. And then when these sides here extend, that uplifts it and it will push with them, push together with them. Alright, but we need one more thing, and that is to redirect this dust here, like so, because we don't want it to power this piston back here. Alright, and make sure you replace these 2 blocks. Alright, now we need one more pulse for the closing, which is in this piston here. So let's fill in this sealing here, like so, and then this block and this block have to be solid. Now we place a block on the slab like so, dust like this, a slab here also with dust, and a target block right here. Alright, and we also want to rearrange this dust here like so. Alright, so that should be the closing of the door blocks, like this. And now all we need to do is grab this piston, insert this and power it. Alright, but let me just open it again, and then we will get to that. Like so. Alright, so this is also quite easy. So first we need to power this dust here. This was actually quite tricky to get in the end, but the solution is really simple. So all we do is we just take an output from this block here with a repeater, and then this will go into this dust line here. And by the time this repeater turns on, this piston here will have removed the block, and to power the piston we just use this block as well. Alright, and we will also use this line here to connect this to this slider here, so we get the pulse on this piston. Alright, now all we need is this comparator here, and that should be the top closing done, except we also need to power this piston, but for this we just have an observer and a piston to update this. Alright, so that already works. And now we can get to the opening. Alright, so first we need a 0-tick pulse for these two pistons here. And what we are just going to do is retract this block here and then turn off this dust line here shortly after. 2 microticks after basically. And the way we do this is by having this here, and then 2 more sticky pistons, and then a block here. And this block will be getting powered by this comparator. And the comparator will, oops, not a dispenser, with a dropper. Alright, so we have a dropper here, which points into just a hopper, a shovel and a dropper. And this will just turn this on so you can power the block. And the reason we don't just permanently power this is because later on we will also have this observer here, and then we are going to spit this back out, and this will do the final retraction pulse for these two pistons. Alright, so this already gets powered by this here, so we might as well just put it in right now. Alright, so that's the 0-tick for these two pistons. But now we have a problem because the second one is actually locational, and we need 1 more microtick in this whole chain here. Well, depending on direction, but anyways. So the way we get that is by placing a sticky piston right here, facing down, with a ray on top, so it's going to update it from this here. And now we come in here and place a block here, on top of which we place a comparator. And this comparator will read the cauldron behind you through this NOT block. And then we can simply push down this block, which gives us enough microtick delay to make this reliable. Because the signal strength 3 just so happens to reach this block and extend this chain here. Alright, so I guess we can test that, but before we make sure that this piston is right here. Alright, so in theory that should work. Let's see what's going to happen. Yeah, just like this. Alright, nice. So this did some weird stuff, but that will be fixed. Alright, so first thing we need to do is place a block here with a repeater on 2 ticks. And then we also want to toggle this pulse here because we only want it in the closing. And the way we do this is by placing this 3-tick repeater, which just locks this at the correct timing in the opening so it doesn't power. Alright, so this should actually do significantly more already. Like so. Alright, so this repeater here extends the pulse here. This is on for the correct timing, especially together with this pulse here, which turns off at 6 game ticks. And then this here powers this dust line again at 9 game ticks for 0-tick. So all we need now is to power this piston here once more to retract this. And believe it or not, we already have this pulse here to retract this piston. So all we need is the final retraction now. So this pulse here comes from this repeater, which actually gets a 0-tick from this line here. So a piston won't react to it again because the block is placed at the same time as this here arrives. But the repeater will. So this grabs it back, and then for the final retraction we'll do something else. Alright, but let's first get this pulse here, which is actually just this hopper and this observer. And now for the final retraction, we come out of this hopper with 3 more observers like so. A sticky piston here, a block here. So what we're going to do is we just power this block here like so. Then we retract this block to unpower it. Alright, and now this observer will get powered by being placed by this piston. And the way we do this is just really easy. Repeater on 2 ticks and an observer like so. And that should be the entire door, so let's test it. Closing. That's the opening. Alright, so now we can fill in our door blocks. So make sure you replace everything you break. These 2 rails here. And this dust. So, whoops. Now we can also fill in the sides, bottom, everything else. And the back side as well. And as well as on the front side, you should make sure to replace everything. So these dusts and this comparator. Alright, so these blocks here and we're almost done. And now we can give it one more test. But that should all be fine. So the closing works and the opening works. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed this video. I think my explanation was somewhat okay. I was a bit fast, but I didn't want this video to be like 5 million years long. So yeah. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed it and thank you for watching.